What's going on, guys? It is February 1st, 2020. Just received a package from GP Knives in Troy, Illinois, which is where I get a lot of my knives, not all of them, but I try to support the local business. They're about an hour away from me, so check them out if you haven't seen them before. If you live close, I recommend going by. So, this is something that was recently released at the SHOT Show 2020, which was just a few weeks ago, and this was released to the public online January 30th, 2020, and now we're February 1st, and I already have one, which is not normal for me. I normally let things go and see how people like them, watch reviews and things, and then I'll get one, but I saw this and I wanted to snatch it up. It was out of stock within an hour, I think. They sold out quick, maybe 2 hours. I'm not sure. I didn't check, but I had to buy one on my lunch break because I knew it was being released and I wanted to see what this thing was like. So let's check it out. The presentation, I gotta say, is really nice. It's very simple, but it's very nice. This is magnetic, which is really cool, I think. You have some literature in here on your lifetime warranty, quality, craftsmanship, integrity, made in the USA. Protech is great. So, let's see what's in here. Whatever it is, it barely fits in this bag. Protech. So obviously, this is the Protech Strider collaboration, and it has a sterile finish on it. This is the Protech Strider SnG Operator, and it is snappy, guys. That spring really pushes that blade out of there. So there's a little backstory to this, so stick with me on this. Protech came out around 1999. Strider came out around the mid-90s. Okay, Strider created some knives that got a lot of attention. They were very popular, and he had three main sizes. This is the exact dimensions on the outside, as far as the length and everything else of the Strider SnG. Okay, so the largest knife that Strider came out with was the SMF. It's the Strider Military Folder with a 4-inch blade. This is the SnG with a 3.5-inch blade, this size. And the SnG stands for 2 Medal of Honor winners. They got the Medal of Honor in 1993. I think it's Randy Schuckard and Gary Gordon, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, correct me. But so, it's the combination of their last names, SnG, and that's what he named the knife after. Strider did fulfill military contracts and things like that with his knives, so that's something to be said. Not a lot of people have done that. That's pretty cool. Strider also came out with the PT, which was a 2.87-inch blade, and that was their smallest one. So the SnG size and model and everything else was one of their most popular, and in 2015 there was a collaboration between Protech and Strider. So Strider has done a lot of collaborations. He used to do a lot of them with Buck, actually, and this one he came out and did a collaboration with Protech. So you have the dimensions of the SnG, but the original SnG is a titanium frame lock, which obviously is completely different. It had an oval thumb hole in the blade, and this one obviously has a push button deployment. This is a tritium insert on there, which is pretty cool. And that is how this model knife in general, this general model knife, was created in 2015. In 2017, the mass production of Strider knives came to an end. He still does releases of his knives, and he does custom knives, which are very, very expensive. If you go to GP Knives, if you're actually able to drive to the store, they have some Strider knives there that are just unbelievable. I mean, $4,000, stuff like that. Crazy, crazy. This knife right here is $280. It is not a cheap knife. I feel like there's a lot that went into this knife, you know, as far as the design and everything else. It is a Protech automatic, which is just second to none. You know, I also have the TR3L lefty, and also extremely snappy knife. So let's do some comparisons with other knives, and then we will talk about dimensions. Okay, so here's the TR3L. It's very, very close. Okay, we have the Super Freak. So these are the size knives that I like. Okay, so let's talk about some dimensions. There's the Chris Reeve Umnenzon. So this is my preference as far as knife size. I don't really like knives smaller than this, but I have a few that I'll carry. Let's open one more. Paramilitary 2, left hand. Just did a review on that the other night, so you'll see that on my channel. Try to fit all these in there. Okay, so overall, the full length of this knife is 8.25 inches. Closed, it is 4.75. The blade is 3.5, like I discussed. The weight on this knife is 4.95 ounces. Okay. The thickness of the blade is 0.125. Now, the main differences as far as weight and blade thickness when you compare them to the original Strider SnG, which is a titanium, usually a titanium G10 frame lock. So there's titanium on one side, G10 on the other, on the original, and it's actually lighter. The original is 4.4 ounces, and this is 4.95, but you have aluminum handles versus titanium and G10. Okay, this actually has a thinner blade, even though it's a heavier knife. It's the 0.125. The original has a 0.165, and the original Strider SnG is a stout knife. I mean, it's got huge blade stock all the way to the tip, great piercing ability, but some people complained about the thickness behind the edge on the original SnG. So this does have a little bit thinner blade, but it's still pretty stout. You know, if you compare this to, you know, the Benchmade Super Freak, if you will, or Freak, it's very, very similar. So really good blade thickness, I think. It is very, very sharp. The blade is DLC coated, and it is the Crucible 154 CM. As far as the blade steel, I think, you know, to be honest, Protech, it frustrates me. You know, here you have about a $150 knife with 154 CM. Okay. And here's a $150 knife with S30V. This is a $280 knife with 154 CM. Here is, I think it was a $180 knife, right around there. And you have M4. If it's coated anyway, you could have made it M4, which I think is better than 154 CM. So that was frustrating a little bit, but I don't know. Protech likes the 154 CM, and I'm not exactly sure why. It's probably cheaper to buy and manufacture and everything else, but I'm a little disappointed. I think it could be done better. So with that being said, the original Strider SnG was a S30V steel, so good for them. So that's, I would say, the major disappointment about this knife as far as what you're paying and everything else is the type of blade steel. With that being said, this blade steel will probably do anything I need it to without a problem. Okay, I think people can become knife snobs, myself included, and I think it's kind of frustrating that, but it is very, very sharp, right? I'm not going to cut paper all night, but it is very, very sharp, and I think it will do the job. It will do anything I need it to. So as far as that button, it is recessed, as you can see here. So as to kind of alleviate the possibility of accidental deployment, can it happen? Yeah, for sure. If you have your keys in your pocket or something like that, it probably could happen, but it's not likely. I'm trying to do more reviews and put on these gloves because I think it's important. I think it's really a telltale sign of functionality, right? So this is, you know, a $450 knife, and it is not the easiest thing to open. This knife comes with instructions on how to open it because it is difficult. So I really have to get the glove in there, and it's just not extremely ergonomic. $450. And this is obviously a right-hand version, right? I'm a left-handed person, not the end of the world. So instead of hitting it with my thumb like I would on this TR3, I just hit it with my index finger. So, like I said, not the end of the world. You can use the knife and everything else. Fast deployment with or without gloves, doesn't matter. And then you close it up, throw it back in your pocket. Okay, so I'm really happy with that. Now, although this knife is awesome, I do hope to get my hands on a true Strider SnG frame lock at some point. But in its own right, you know, I think you're taking the dimensions and a lot of the aspects that people love about the Strider SnG, and then you're getting the fit and finish and the capabilities from the automatic deployment from Protech. So it's just a great collaboration. It really is. And the jimping is, you know, following the Strider SnG, and it's comfortable. I like it. You can have your hands low here, or you can go on that forward choil, which I like. But I think it's an extremely sturdy knife. And I think this would be a knife that a first responder or someone like that could use, that they need that fast deployment. This tritium insert, they say, will stay glowing for up to 12 years. So if I hold on to this knife, maybe I'll do a review in 12 years when cars are flying or something. But and I'll talk about that. So if I were to turn the lights out right now, the only thing you would see is this tritium insert right there for low light indexing is what they call it, which is cool, right? Because it's the operator. So it's a really, really cool knife. So I want to thank GP Knives for sending it, and thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more reviews like this, just hit the subscribe button, and I'll definitely have more reviews. And I have knives right now that I need to review. And I really appreciate you guys watching. You know, comment below if you have questions or corrections on anything that I've said, of course. And as always, have a good rest of the day.